Top stories tonight. Immigration, DSS placed sponsors of End Bad Governance protest on watch list. Kaduna residents ground as 24-hour curfew bites hard. Lagos police vow to arrest attackers of New Central crew. Guinea opposition calls for protests against ruling junta. Thank you for joining us. I'm Felicity Ezewike. The news begins with update on the End Bad Governance protest. The Nigerian Immigration Service, NIS, and the Department of State Services, DSS, announced they have placed alleged sponsors of the End Bad Governance protest on a watch list. According to the agencies, the sponsors reside abroad. During a press briefing in Abuja on Tuesday, Kemi Nandap, NIS Controller General, stated that sponsors of the protest would be arrested if they enter Nigeria. DSS spokesperson Peter Afunaya added that the bank accounts of the alleged sponsors have been blocked and some of the sponsors are already in DSS custody. Let's also tell you that residents of Kaduna Metropolis have called on the state government to ease the 24-hour curfew imposed on the state capital, Kaduna, and the neighboring city of Zaria, following widespread violence that broke out during the protest. They say the curfew, which necessitated patrols by security operatives, is taking its toll on their livelihoods, as many of them cannot access their farms, businesses, and engage in other economic activities. My colleague, Emmanuel Bagudu, tells us more.
Amadin Bello Way, Kaduna, the busy express road leading to Zaria and Kano, now seems like a ghost town. Security operatives are not leaving any stone unturned in an attempt to enforce the 24-hour curfew imposed by the state government. Other major roads, business areas, and public facilities are all quiet. Residents were seen at the street corners looking helpless and hoping that the curfew will be relaxed.
Without salary and being the copy in place, I cannot be having access to go to other activities for me to get something to sustain my life with my family. So I do find it difficult at this moment.
If the governor will actually look into this matter and remove the curfew for us, a lot of people will be happy.
The farmer cannot go to the farm because of the curfew which is going on in the state, and which, if they did not go to the farm, I'm telling you, the crops there will get spoiled, and next year more hungry will come up, and if care is not taken, it will come to a time that the government cannot even control the masses, because we are angry, because there's a code that said an hungry man is an angry man.
Some of them threw their weight behind government's decision, saying the curfew had become apt following the violence that escalated during the protest in the state.
Akwai yara da muka zo muna zaune mu muna ta control irin mu tabbatar da mun ga yara na wuce area mu ba fada ba komai mu area mu ba san rikici tunda mu ungon shafa ba san zaman lafiya ne. Sai daga ba muka ga yara suna zuwa da karafuna da meye suna ta koran mutane da karafuna cikin gidaje. So we are not happy. We
expect if anything related to protests, it will go peacefully. But along the line, due to there are some lapses from the youth that are arrogance. But we are praying to God for anything to become calm. We pray for peace, and alhamdulillah, by mere looking, our youths are complying.
Considering the level of cooperation the residents of Kaduna and Zaria have shown to the Kaduna state government, it is anticipated that this curfew will be relaxed soon. In Kaduna, for New Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
Thank you, Emmanuel. He now joins us from Kaduna to give us an update from all he's been monitoring in the states. Thank you for joining us, Emmanuel. Tell us the situation currently in Kaduna. We understand that the state governor went round to check the damage. Did he also visit Zaria?
Yes, Governor Basani went around this afternoon, and just to show his solidarity with the people for the fact that he locked them down. Not that he's happy about that, but the fact that he's interested in the peace of the state. He didn't go to Zaria. He never visited Zaria. I mean, his outing was unannounced, unprepared, and then, of course, spontaneous. He came out just to make sure that, yes, I lock my people down, but of course, I have the responsibility of going down to check out what happened. And I would say that it's very important to say that probably the curfew was very important for the governor to actually ascertain what damage has been done by the protest. And also, another thing is also important for us to state that there's a video going around about Kaduna protesters hijacking a police patrol vehicle. They didn't hijack a police patrol vehicle, at least it was protesters that climbed on a police patrol vehicle being mounted by police officers. So the person that was driving it was a police officer. So police actually demonstrated maturity to make sure that that vehicle, did not injure anyone and it ended in peace. So the protest actually ended up in a fanfare instead of injury. So the entire issue in Kaduna State is clearly clear, and is very clear and is concise that there is no any breach of law and order, and that the curfew was very, very necessary. And actually the curfew has a result. The curfew is actually, yielded a lot of positive results, that there are no crises right now in Kaduna State. Yeah.
Are there other parts of the state that are free from the curfew? There are comments going on around this.
Yes, the curfew was actually imposed on Kaduna Metropolis and Zaria Metropolis. But as I speak to you, where I am right now, I am just within the southern part of the state. Just the communities, the communities just before River Kaduna, just within the southern part. We're talking about Television, Sabon Tasha, we have Angome Yero, and then we have Maraban Rido. They are not experiencing curfew at all. Life goes in normal. But communities from the stadium roundabout up to Ibrahim Taiwo, Amadin Bello, Kao, up to Zaria on the Kano route, those are the areas that are actually experiencing curfew. Yeah.
So there are no protests in any other parts of Kaduna aside these two areas that curfew has been imposed on?
Of course, after the announcement of the 24-hour curfew, anything that has to do with protests, of course, has just died naturally, because there's no any sort of protest in Kaduna State, or apart from the clashes between security officials and residents who are tempted not to obey the curfew. We have seen an instance of a video, alleged video, even though we have not confirmed that video yet, that some security personnel actually shot at people who failed to obey the curfew somewhere in Zaria. We have not been to Zaria yet. We're going to be in Zaria tomorrow. But we know that immediately we started our work this morning, we noticed that a heavy presence of soldiers going around Central Market, commercial areas, chasing whatever kind of civilian they see on the streets to go back to their houses. And that has, they are doing it in the most, hostage and most, horrible manner possible, just to make sure they scare the people away from being tempted, whether they are hoodlums or not, for being tempted to, go into people's property and loot. So that has been the case for now, and then there is no any protest that has happened so far in Kaduna State. Yeah.
All right, Emmanuel, thank you very much for the update. Please, as you go out tomorrow, be security conscious.
Thank you.
In the meantime, the Economic Community of West African States has expressed concern over the ongoing protests in Nigeria, lamenting reports of violence, fatalities, and property destruction. In a statement made available on Tuesday, the Commission welcomed the national address by President Bola Tinubu on Sunday, August 4, and urged protesters and all stakeholders to heed the President's call for inclusive dialogue to address grievances and ensure peace and security. ECOWAS emphasized the right of citizens to peaceful protests as enshrined in the 2001 ECOWAS Supplementary Protocol on Democracy and Good Governance and Nigeria's 1999 Constitution. The Commission extends condolences to the families of those who had died and expressed sympathy with the Nigerian government and its people over the losses incurred. Still on the End Bad Governance protest, Justice Sherifat Shoneka of the Lagos State High Court in Igboshere has extended an earlier order that restricts protesters in Lagos to the Freedom and Peace Parks in Ojota and Ketu areas of the state. The order followed an application by the Lagos State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Mr. Lawal Pedro, SAN, who sought an extension after complying with pre-action protocols for preemptive remedies ordered last week by another judge, Justice Emmanuel Ogundare. Represented by the Director of Civil Litigation, Mr. Hamid Oyenuga, Pedro informed the court that the earlier court order had been served on all respondents in compliance with the protocols. He argued that despite the lack of response from the respondents, extending the restriction is necessary to maintain the relative peace in the state and amid the ongoing nationwide protests. The judge, satisfied with the AG's compliance with Justice Ogundare's orders, ruled to extend the restriction of protests to the designated Freedom and Peace Parks in Ojota and Ketu until full compliance with the pre-action orders is achieved. Now, earlier today, our correspondent, Bernard Akede, was harassed by suspected thugs at Ojota while giving a live situation report at the Ojota protest ground in Lagos. A correspondent who fortunately escaped with his crew without injuries expressed shock that the incident happened in the full view of policemen detailed to protect lives and maintain peace.
And we had to record from several kilometers away from that particular area. So, the police had to explain to us after we questioned them. They spoke to us after we explained to them that we should not be there. All right, at the moment, do roll on now. I went out. All right, so we're being harassed now. We have to go into the vehicle.
All right, Bernard, just take it easy.
So, obviously, we're being attacked by thugs and we have to go in. Yeah.
That's fine. You can just get settled in. Bernard, please stay safe.
Condemnable on all counts. In the meantime, News Central Managing Director and Editor-in-Chief Kayode Akintemi, alongside lead reporter Bernard Akede, visited the Lagos State Commissioner of Police following the attack on News Central crew at Ojota area of the state. The CP assured that the perpetrators will be brought to book. Staying with attacks on journalists and the protests, Nigeria's National Human Rights Commission has called on all relevant authorities in the country to investigate incidents of rights violation on innocent protesters and journalists during the ongoing nationwide demonstrations. The commission also urged them to ensure perpetrators are brought to justice. My colleague Idong Joseph completes the report.
In the early hours of Thursday, 1st of August, when the hashtag #EndBadGovernance protest commenced, streets within major cities across the country were quiet and calm. But as the day progressed, protesters began to mobilize themselves at various locations. What was intended to be a peaceful demonstration took a different turn as security operatives tried to disperse crowd using tear gas canister and disproportionate force.
We're going to protest, peace protest. They shoot tear gas anyhow. Look at this side. Why?
On Saturday, right in front of this place here, where they were, protesters were encircled and then tear gas. How do you do that?
Suddenly, the commissioner of police came and he said, why are we here? Why are we at the Eagle Square? Yeah, he told us not to come to Eagle Square and I should bring my phone. He collected my phone and he said that I should be arrested.
Contrary to the alleged use of force and allegations of several citizens losing their lives, the police with other security agencies maintained that no lethal weapons were deployed, but only anti-riot equipment.
Arrests of certain individuals who have been riotous should not be seen as the arrest of protesters. Let us get it clear. There are some states in Nigeria they have been having peaceful protests. Security agencies have been engaging them.
In light of the allegations and denials of rights violations, Nigeria's Human Rights Commission released a statement condemning the use of force and attack on protesters and journalists calling for an investigation. Other rights activists, while joining their voice to condemn the act, urged the government to address the demands of the protesters.
All law enforcement agencies, they are suffering what we are suffering. We are going to the same market, and we are calling on the authority, that for them to really step back and look at, there is hunger in the land.
With the protest marking its 6th day, some states have imposed curfews to stop the breakdown of law and order being witnessed so far. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Many thanks, Idong. We will be discussing the offshoot of the conversation and persecution of journalists carrying out their diligent duties. After we come back from this break, we have a lawyer and public affairs analyst on standby. Thank you for staying with us to discuss the offshoot of the End Bad Governance protest across Nigeria. I'm joined now by lawyer and public affairs analyst Olayinka Oladaniels. Olayinka, thank you for giving us your time. We appreciate it. I'm going to start with the handling of the police. On the one hand, the police have been caught on camera failing in their responsibility of protecting civilians and journalists in the course of this protest. What do you make of the responses of the police authority to these allegations?
Well, foremost, thank you for having me. Over years, several years, when we come in face with such brutality, well, maybe I should use that word from the security agencies. By the time they come out, they of course they never accept that they've erred or goofed in their way of handling things. They always look for one reasons, excuses, and they will give you 1,001 reasons why some things were done the way they were done. In fact, they will call innocent people rioters, and it's not today. We've seen this over years. So,
is there a scenario where the police will accept?
Authority,
sorry to interject. I just wanted to know, from your experience, has there been a scenario where the police accept responsibility for failing in their responsibilities and apologized to citizens and aggrieved journalists who are usually in the forefront?
It's very rare. You hardly see that happen. It's very, very rare for them to hold on to their fault and apologize to the either to the innocent people or to the journalist. To them, you see, it's still part of the reforms that we talk about. You see, our people don't still understand, particularly, don't forget that in this part of the world, we are more into individual, no institution whatsoever. And, well, some people will even come to say they swore oath to the Constitution of the Nigeria and to uphold the Constitution. But in practice, what we see over years, people are answerable to some individuals. So those individuals, whatever they tell them to do is what they do. And that is what you can see from the police, from some of the security agencies, is because whatever Mr. A is telling them as against what they sworn an oath to uphold. So you can't, until we get to a system where we have an institution in place where nobody is afraid of anybody, where even when authority is saying this, then what you consider, you weigh it, whatever the authority, people in authority, whatever they are saying, is it in line with the provision of the Constitution? That is the manual of everyone that is guiding us. But in most cases, we don't see this happen because they answer to Mr. A or Mr. B. So whatever they tell them to do is what they do. We run a system where police does not even obey the court order.
It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. I want to pick your brains on from your legal expertise to talk to us about the treasonable allegation against those who were seen on camera flying the Russian flag and asking for foreign intervention in the situation in Nigeria, particularly the cost of living crisis. Is it treasonable to do that? Most people say yes. But what are the legal interpretation for people who engage in acts like this?
Thank you. I'll break it into two. And the first part I will say, when it comes to protests, all sort happens, particularly when the people that are carrying out these protests are not lettered, when they don't really know what they are doing. You know, a lot of people, they just protest. Oh, yes, we are hungry. Yeah, crowd. Then they follow crowd and they carry out the deeds of, let me perhaps in quote, the leaders or people instigating such movement. So they follow whatever they tell them to do. But in that case, for instance, if you find someone carrying flag, they just distributed flag and their flag, they don't even know whether the flag is Russian flag or, you know, any flag. They just give them some flag, okay, be waving it, oh, be protesting. So
don't forget your thoughts. Does that, don't forget your thoughts, please. I just want to interject and ask, does that give credence to allegations that the protest, especially up north, was hijacked for other political reasons? When you say that young people who are gullible are given these flags to just take on the street?
Yeah, before I answer this, let me quickly say this. Before this protest, some of us were saying no to it because we know, we have seen this coming, we have foreseen that this will happen. Why? Because there are no strategic in place. We have led protests before, where there was no vandalism, where whatever, everything was peaceful, and we achieved what, I mean, our...
Alayinka, I'm sorry to interject, but we are time constrained, so if you could just maybe focus on...
Let me quickly go to that. Let me quickly go to that. Now, considering those people, once, you see, anywhere where the sovereignty of the state is being questioned, or where some people are asking for another country to topple a government, because if you heard what they were saying, some of them were even shouting coup and all that. And if you link, oh, maybe they're looking at what has happened in some other African countries, how they think, oh, maybe Russia was the sponsor of those countries. So now they have the Russian flag and they're asking for coup. That is treasonable offense, treasonable felony. There is no two way about it.
Spell it out. What is the punishment for treason?
For the fact that for this to be happening, it means that there are some people are behind this.
All right, what's the penalty? I'm asking you because of
to fish out the people that are behind this this menace.
All right, quickly, Alayinka, I still have questions for you. For clarity,
or otherwise.
For clarity, please, what is the punishment for treason?
Is jail terms, and is jail terms not under 14 years, can be life imprisonment.
All right. The next question is, the NIS has come up to say that the sponsors, the alleged sponsors of the protests are being put on watch list. Their bank accounts have been frozen, and they allege that some of them are not in the country. Is it curious to you that no names were mentioned in this case? And how valid is the freezing of accounts based on allegations?
Those are the issues we have with our system. I think you do your investigation first before you just, freezing people's account, before taking people to court when you don't even have substantive evidence against these people. I think they need to do more, and it's too early for them to say, okay, there are freezes of people's account, so that it doesn't look as if you are also fighting back. Or some people are fighting and you have enemy that you want to also, hack their neck. I think it's too early. They should do their investigation. They should find out the people, the perpetrators, the people behind this whole thing. And, once you do that, have enough concrete evidence against them. Then bring them, when you do that and you release the list, not that you are telling us that you are freezing people's account. We don't even have a face to these people. And we have done that severally, and we are still doing it. You remember the Saudi Arabia list? We don't have any list today. Up to today, Nigeria has not released any list to us. Now, this will come again, and we will go the same route. They will talk about people freezing people's account. We don't even have a face to them. We don't know them. So who do we face? Who do we harass? Who do we call to book?
Before I let you go, I just want your thoughts in 30 seconds, if you can, on the renewal of the preemptive court order by the Lagos State Chief Judge. I want you to talk to us about the necessity for it, considering on major counts that the protests seem to be losing steam. Was that continuing order necessary?
Yeah, don't forget that that order gotten is a temporary order, so it is not in perpetuality. So and it has a time frame, so it will lapse. So they had to go and renew and get extension of the order, so that you can see, like you said, is really coming down in Lagos. By the time that order comes and you see them fading out, and before you know it, it's another tactic that the Lagos State is using, probably is working for them, and maybe or not, but at least the AG has done the right thing by approaching the court and seeking, extension of this interim order to make sure that they restrict these protesters to those places. And I think it's the best way, rather than some people, infiltrating the protesters with hoodlums and destroying things here and there. I think it's a good cause for us.
Thank you very much for your submissions and the gift of your time.
Thank you for having me.
Right now, the city of Lagos, Nigeria's commercial hub, recently came to a standstill as protesters took to the streets to demand change. But when the demonstrations ended and life returning to normal, business owners are left to pick up the pieces and count the cost of lost operational hours. News Central's Adeshewa Odushoga reports.
The recent protest in Lagos, which lasted for 4 days, has left some business owners feeling disappointed and frustrated. Despite the peaceful nature of the protest, with no report of violence, many businesses were forced to shut down as a precaution against looting and other potential escalation of the protest.
To close our shop for almost three days, hoping that something good will come out from the protest. At the end, nothing came out. So I feel terrible about it, because I lost a lot of money for that 3 days.
That day is a loss for me, because the earning that I'm supposed to make, I couldn't make those earnings, and is a bit hot. But so long as it's for the betterment of the country, because all we are after is for the betterment of the country. There is one thing for me getting the money, and I cannot use it to buy what I really want.
The fact I'm not painful, it's not painful to me that I close my shop. It's for our betterment. Because it was after the protest that way it came out. That was when the president came out to speak to us. Before the protest, he was just there speaking through their hate, but he didn't come out to address us. At least the protest has gone in a long way. At least he was able to address us, So, but that didn't go well with us, because we are still watching.
The protest, which aimed to address various socio-economic issues, including inflation and economic hardship, ironically exacerbated the challenges faced by businesses. With Nigeria's inflation rate standing at almost 40%, businesses are already finding it difficult to stay afloat.
Protest has no effect, has nothing to do with the government. Hear me well. How do you want to go and fight with this one? You tell this one, say, they come. No need. They have kept security people in all places. And they don't want those security people, they are suffering like us. And at the end of the day, they carry gun and shoot us. Why?
The peaceful nature of the protest has been attributed to the heavy presence of security forces and calls for peace by the government. However, business owners are still feeling the pinch and are urging the government to take concrete steps to address the economic challenges facing the country. As one business owner succinctly put it, we need action, not just protest. We need policies that will help us grow and thrive, not just empty promises. In Lagos for News Central, Adeshewa Odushoga.
Stay with us for more news across Nigeria and Africa right after this break. Thank you for staying with us. President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of 7 qualified Nigerians to head strategic agencies and programs under the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajirin Gelale, made this known in a statement on Tuesday. Dr. Badamasi Lawal now heads the National Social Investment Program Agency. Fumilola Ulutu is the new Program Manager, National Social Safety Net Coordinating Office, while Aishat Alubankudi is the Program Manager, Grant for Vulnerable Groups. Others are Aderemi Adebowale, Program Manager, Homegrown School Feeding, Abdullahi Imam, Program Manager, National Cash Transfer Office, Ayuba Gufwan, Executive Secretary, National Commission for People with Disabilities, and Lami Binta Adamu Bello, Director General, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons. After enduring about 10 years away from their homes, displaced persons from 39 communities have now been resettled and given new opportunities to pick up the pieces of their lives in Ngorosoye of Bama local government. This is part of the resettlement drive in Nigeria's northeastern state of Borin by the government to close all existing IDP camps. My colleague Umaru Kirawa completes the report.
It's a moment of renewed sense of hope to these persons as they finally have the chance to return to their hometowns amidst cheers. They are now being resettled into newly allocated 500 houses at Ngurosoye, a community known for onions farming.
Champion karaya kula ya isa tulur uskusu dina amma ku ishe har fataro karaya shiru askirin yana ala zaman zasira
mawayel da ben harda gwamna ngana a farfa daraja da damiya.
Governor Babagana Zulum led the resettlement ceremony, highlighting the government's commitment to restoring normalcy and fostering economic development in the region.
These are 39 communities comprising 7 village units and 2 district heads.
1,100 households. We allocated the 500 houses built as well as the 1,000 shelters. In addition to the shelters allocated, each household will receive a cash package of 50,000 naira. Each wife his housewife will receive 25,000 naira. Along with other essential items such as mats, mattresses, mosquito nets, bean cereals, and agrochemicals.
In Darit Jamal, these houses are also undergoing construction as more displaced persons are said to be resettled.
About 294 units of these houses has reached an appreciable level. Inshallah, in the next 2-3 months we shall complete, and then this town will be resettled, and then after this town we will also resettle another town, Mainti, Balayobe, amongst others. And therefore, the essence of our resettlement in a dignified manner is to ensure that people will start earning their means of livelihood by themselves. People shall cultivate their lands.
The new settlement includes essential infrastructure such as schools, healthcare centers, among others, ensuring a comprehensive support system for the displaced families. In Bama for News Central, Umar Kirawa.
Many thanks, Umar. Let's go back to the end bad governance protests. We have been focusing on it quite extensively here at News Central, and today's events necessitates further scrutiny. We're now joined by my colleague, Bernard Akede, who earlier today was accosted by hoodlums while the police watched. Bernard, if you can hear me, thank you for joining us. And let me begin by saying I'm really sorry you had to experience police negligence today.
Thank you for having me, Felicity. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Oh, yes, I can. Talk to us quickly. What was going through your mind when you were experiencing that? Were you scared? Were you worried for your colleagues? Talk to us about that.
I think it was a bit of every kind of emotion. There was a bit of fear. There was worry for the colleagues. There was worry for the equipment too, of course.
Yeah.
And you know, there was also the concern that you know, we have dropped this far as press freedom you know, is concerned. From the beginning of the protest up until now, I must say that there have been good cooperation between the police and the press. You know, we had fallen short at some points, you know, some flash points, but there have been good cooperation. But, you know, getting towards the later part of the protest from, say, day 4, day 5, day 6, we had begun to see some kind of funny behavior, I would say, particularly with, I would say, some kind of free hand that certain thugs had been given around the protest area. So at some point, you know, I just got sad that it degenerated to what we saw today.
We understand from your visit with the MD here at News Central, Mr. Kayode Akintemi, to the Lagos CP, there's been promise of an investigation and action afterwards. What was the sense of commitment you got during that conversation?
Well, we got to the officer of the Commissioner of Police. He was joined by or rather, we were introduced to him by the Public Relations Officer, Popular Benjamin Hundeyi, who said he had seen the clips and then showed it to the CP, the Commissioner of Police, who was taken aback by what he saw, very surprised, very, very surprised, and he looked disappointed basically, and it was immediately that he called some other officers who, you know, in whose hands he put the investigation, and right from there he started to say that, oh, this will not go, you know, unanswered. Those perpetrators will be, you know, will be found and will be prosecuted. And then we were asked to, you know, fill some documents, and from his office there, the process started. So I would like to hold him by his words and believe that he actually would, you know, will see it through.
So, honestly, what were you thinking when he said he was shocked? Because in the course of this protest, we've seen police, maybe not in Lagos, but in other parts of the country, treat civilians in ways that are dehumanizing and frankly condemnable. Were you really impressed by the show of support that was given to you today? Or do you think that the police could do better in carrying out their responsibility?
So I think what happened today has only gone to prove certain things that many of us have been complaining about. Now, there's a gulf of difference between, I believe, the high-ranking police officers and, you know, what we call the junior ones, the regular ones that we see on the street, the constables, the sergeants, you know, and the likes. Now, they are the ones that, sadly, we, the regular people, interact with on a daily basis. They are the ones, I think, that would need the kind of training and reform that we've been complaining about. They are the ones who maybe have less of the information that they need, or they do have the information, they do not just carry it out the way it's supposed to be carried out. If you remember, the day before the protest, my team and I were also harassed while carrying out a live report at Lekki Toll Gate. So this is like the second time it's happening in the space of 1 week, and it's still. You know, the concern is with the junior police officers who are the ones that interact with us, you know, on a daily basis. So while the Commissioner of Police, the PRO, can assure us one thing, that the police is actually doing one thing, trying to get things better, they are not the ones that we interact with on a daily basis. So those ones whom we interact with are the ones, sadly, who may be, you know, going offline or going off track to break protocol when it comes to cases like this. You know, so I could believe that the Commissioner of Police would say that things would actually be done, you know, but hoping that the people he will put in charge will do those things is another thing entirely.
Okay, so I'm a bit passionate about this, so I'm writing down what I want to ask you next. What action do you want to see from the CP and the Public Relations Officer in the coming days, and what time frame do you expect to see actions that will reflect a recognition of the experience you went through and a better behavior from the police?
If I was to be asked time frame, I would say 1 week. And then if I'm asked what action, I believe that these gentlemen, whoever they, if I can still call them gentlemen, these men who accosted us, be apprehended. I mean, their faces are live on national TV. Everybody are going to see them. You can rewind the tapes and pause and get to see them over and over again. That they all be apprehended, they be prosecuted, and they, and that justice taken out. It will be, if eventually this happens, it will be a win for the ordinary man in Nigeria who doesn't have a voice in high places. It will be a win for broadcasters and journalists. It will be a win for the press, knowing that this will be one time that journalists will be assaulted, in the course of doing their duty, and this case did not just get swept under the rug. It was treated, and the perpetrators were truly brought to book. It will be a win for Nigerians, knowing that the reform we're asking for actually has started, and that we see that people who are harassing and assaulting, normal Nigerians are actually arrested. We've seen this in several protests, and nothing has been done. If this is swept under the rug again, it will look like just business as usual.
All right, Bernard, let me leave you to go catch some needed rest, because whatever happens, we go again tomorrow. Thank you for the work you do, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you for having me.
All right, staying with the End Bad Governance protest in Nigeria, members of the ECOWAS Parliament have called on citizens of the sub-region to join efforts aimed at tackling the problem of plastic waste in the sub-region. They say it poses tremendous danger to the environment and maritime life, which can have telling effects on the health of citizens and the economies of member states. So this is unconnected with the End Bad Governance protest. My colleague Amadin reports.
The discussions bordered on managing plastic waste in the sub-region, including its effects on the environment and marine life. After extensive deliberations, members of the ECOWAS Parliament say information obtained from deliberations has placed the lawmakers in a better position to tackle the problem.
The success stories shared by the various stakeholders and experts have provided us with practical insight and inspiration to adopt in the different member states of ECOWAS and scale these initiatives within our respective communities.
As lawmakers hold a town hall meeting to speak with stakeholders in Ghana, some say citizens of the sub-region must be involved in tackling this menace.
If you will use a lot of waste, please take your time to put a separate container where anything that you use or you see as a waste in the family, you put it in that container, so that you will have plastic, you will have other forms of waste separately.
Others say the effects of plastic waste must not be taken lightly.
The impact of plastic waste pollution are manifold and include food security, economic, water safety, ecosystem, mentioned to be few. Another example of devastating impact that plastic waste has is on fishery, aquaculture, and tourism, especially in the coastal community where many people live.
As members of the ECOWAS Parliament resolve to tackle the problem of plastic waste, they say they are confident this will improve the lives of citizens in the sub-region.
I do apologize for the mix-up in introducing that report. We go now for entertainment stories. The entertainment team have details.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Cartoon Network and Max have announced that Yemi Alade will be recording and performing the theme song for Iyanu, an upcoming superhero animated series deeply rooted in Nigerian culture and mythology. Produced by Lion Forge Entertainment, the series is an adaptation of the popular graphic novel Iyanu, Child of Wonder by Nigerian creator and filmmaker Roye Okupe. The main title theme song is a collaborative effort between Yemi Alade, Lion Forge Entertainment, Alcon Sleeping Giant, and Femi Ogumbiade, the lead composer for the series. Iyanu is scheduled to debut in the US and across Africa in 2025. The series follows the story of an orphan who must discover the mystery behind her newfound powers to save her people from an ancient curse. Set in the magical kingdom of Yoruba land, the animated series is based on Okupe's acclaimed graphic novel series published by Dark Horse Comics, known for titles like The Umbrella Academy and Hellboy. Leading the all-African voice cast is Sarah Johnson as Iyanu alongside Adeswa Etomi Wellington, Stella Damasus, Blossom Chukwujeku, and Shafi Bello. Global sensation Mary J. Blige, 2 years after her hit Good Morning Gorgeous graced the Billboard Hot 100, is set to release her new single Breathing. The song is a promising preview of her forthcoming and potentially final album, which follows her 2022 Grammy-nominated album Good Morning Gorgeous. Following the success of her recent tracks, Still Believe in Love and Beautiful Life, Blige's Breathing features four-time Grammy nominee Fabulous. The announcement is a much-anticipated moment for Mary J. Blige fans, which have eagerly been awaiting new music since her recent ventures into acting, including roles in Star's Power Book 2 and the upcoming film Rob Peace, premiering on August 16th. As of now, the release date for the Breathing single and its accompanying music video has not been confirmed. That's all on Entertainment Tonight.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Moving away from entertainment, the hashtag National Grid is trending following the unexpected blackout that hit certain parts of Nigeria for a period of time yesterday. The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, refutes claim of the National Grid collapse, attributing the power outage to a line trip at the Igbi substation. Following the blackout, a lot of Nigerians took to social media to express their concerns. Let's take a look at some tweets. At Kuruts 007, the national grid that always collapse have never affected my area before. I always read the news on Twitter. As we speak now, we have full current power supply. At Philips CKO, the national grid seems to have been resuscitated. It's breathing now. Soon or perhaps later, in its 9th month, it will collapse again, maybe to birth the teen that has been causing it to collapse every month. At the Achigrapher, National Grid Collapse Care, Abego Work Day. At Mbade for you, National Grid cannot go 1 month without collapsing. Which kind country be this? That's all on What's Trending.
When our critical infrastructure become the brunt of jokes. Unfortunate. That's where we'll wrap things up tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Immigration, DSS have placed sponsors of End Bad Governance protest on watch list. Kaduna residents groan as 24-hour curfew bites hard. Lagos police have vowed to arrest attackers of New Central crew. We also told you that Guinea opposition has called for protests against ruling junta. Do send your eyewitness report to the number that's showing now on your screen. You can follow us on social media at News Central TV. We'd love you to watch us live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. As always, thank you very much for watching. Do stay safe and have a good night.